There are places in the world that don't seem real. They aren't part of any horror movie or fantasy story, yet they feel like they could be. In this video, we'll take you to 5 disturbing locations around the world. Each one is very real, and each one carries an atmosphere that's hard to explain. Some of them are shaped by nature, some by history, and others by one person's obsession. We'll start in East Africa, at a place where the water turns blood red and animals appear frozen in time. Lake Natron. Near the border of Kenya and Tanzania, there's a lake that looks like it belongs on another planet. Lake Natron is wide, shallow, and often glowing with strange colors. Depending on the season, it can be deep red, bright orange, or covered in white salt. The colors come from microorganisms that survive in extreme heat and salinity. But the most disturbing thing about Lake Natron isn't its color. It's what happens to animals that get too close. This lake is extremely salty and highly alkaline. That means its pH level is very high, strong enough to burn skin or eyes. Temperatures on the lake surface can rise above 40 degrees Celsius, or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Most animals can't survive that. And when they die in the water, something strange happens. Their bodies become covered in salt and hardened by minerals. Some look like they've turned to stone. Photographers have captured haunting images of birds, bats, and small mammals lying at the lake's edge, stiff and white with salt. They've been preserved in a way that makes them look frozen in time. The salty hot water draws moisture out of the body, and the minerals coat it, preserving the shape. This phenomenon is unsettling, even if it's completely natural. But Lake Natron isn't lifeless. In fact, it's the only regular breeding ground in East Africa for millions of lesser flamingos. These birds thrive here because few predators can survive in the harsh conditions. The flamingos build nests on small islands made of salt, safe from animals that might harm them. The red-colored algae in the lake is what gives the birds their bright pink color. So while the lake looks deadly, and it can be, it also supports life in its own extreme way. Poveglia Island. Not far from the beautiful city of Venice, Italy, lies a small island that most people never visit. It sits quietly in the Venetian lagoon, surrounded by calm waters and covered in overgrown trees. From afar, it looks peaceful. But for hundreds of years, Poveglia Island has been avoided, feared, and even sealed off from the public. Its story begins in the 1700s, during a time when Europe was struck by deadly plagues. Venice was a major trading port, and ships arriving from other countries had to stop for inspection before entering the city. If any passenger showed signs of illness, they were sent to quarantine, and Poveglia was where they were taken. The island became a holding place for sick travelers. At first, they stayed in simple buildings to wait out their symptoms. But over time, Poveglia turned into a permanent quarantine station. During the worst outbreaks, thousands of people with plague were brought there. Some recovered, many did not. When they died, they were buried on the island. By the end of the 1700s, mass graves had been dug. Some reports suggest that over 100,000 people may have been buried there across the centuries. Later, in the early 1900s, the island was reused, this time as a psychiatric hospital. A bell tower from the old church was still standing, and new buildings were added. The hospital ran until 1968. After it closed, the island was left empty. The buildings began to crumble. Trees and vines grew over the roofs and windows. Today, it remains abandoned. Because of its long and sad history, Poveglia gained a dark reputation. Locals began telling stories about ghosts and strange sounds. Visitors who managed to sneak onto the island described a heavy feeling, like they weren't alone. Some said they heard voices or saw shadows moving. Others claimed they felt sick while walking through the ruins. Island of the Dolls. Now we travel west to Mexico, where another island tells a very different but equally strange story. In the canals of Xochimilco, just outside Mexico City, lies a small floating garden known as the Island of the Dolls. From a distance, it seems ordinary, but as your boat drifts closer, you begin to notice the shapes hanging from the trees. Hundreds of them. They're dolls. Some are old, some are broken, and many are missing arms, legs, or eyes. They hang from branches, walls, and posts. Some are tied in place. Others swing gently in the breeze. Almost all are dirty and weather-worn, and they're not decorations. They're not toys. They were placed there by one man, over many years, for reasons that are still not entirely clear. The man's name was Don Julian Santana Barrera. In the 1950s, he moved to the island alone. He farmed there, was quite lonely, and rarely visited the mainland. According to local legend, he once saw the body of a young girl who had drowned nearby. The next day, he found a doll floating in the water. He hung the doll on a tree, hoping it would honor the girl's spirit. After that, he never stopped. Over the years, Don Julian collected dolls from the canals, from garbage, or by trading with neighbors. He hung everyone he found on the island. His home was surrounded by them. Trees were covered. Fences, walls, even wires between buildings, all draped with dolls. Some were headless. Some had cracked faces. Most were worn and faded. But for Don Julian, they were not just decorations. He said they protected the island, that they kept spirits away. For decades, he lived like this, alone with the dolls. Then, in 2001, Don Julian passed away, reportedly near the same spot where the girl was said to have drowned years earlier. After his death, the island became a place of curiosity. People wanted to see it. Tourists arrived by boat. His family allowed them to visit, and today it remains one of the most unusual attractions in Mexico. People still bring dolls. They hang them in the trees, just like Don Julian did. Some say the dolls move their heads. Others claim they whisper or open their eyes. Kalyazin RT-64. Deep in the forests of Western Russia, surrounded by quiet hills and old Soviet roads, there's a massive machine that almost no one talks about. It doesn't make noise, and yet it's been operating for decades. This is RT-64, one of the largest radio telescopes in the world. RT-64 was built during the 1970s, at the height of the Cold War, to communicate with Venus and Mars. The Soviet Union needed powerful deep space antennas to track space missions, spy on satellite activity, and pick up signals that no one else could. The dish is 64 meters wide, more than 200 feet across, and made of thousands of metal panels fitted together like scales. It looks like a huge satellite dish, pointed toward the sky, surrounded by nothing but trees. Most people have never heard of it. That's partly because RT-64 is hidden in a remote area near the town of Kalyazin, and partly because the facility is still off limits to the public. You can't tour it. You can't get close. Satellite images show the dish clearly, but on the ground the roads are fenced, guarded, or simply blocked. The structure is visible, but its purpose isn't. Officially, the dish is used for space research and signal detection. It tracks objects in orbit and monitors deep space, but rumors have followed it for years. Some say it was used to intercept foreign communications. Others believe it picked up strange signals, patterns from space that were never explained. A few even think the telescope was part of a hidden surveillance network. None of that has ever been confirmed, but the mystery remains. And now, we head to one final location, a forest in Romania that people say is alive in ways it shouldn't be. Hoia Baciu Forest. Just outside the city of Cluj-Napoca, in the region of Transylvania, lies the Hoia Baciu Forest. From above, it looks like any other forest. But once you enter the trees, you start to notice that something isn't quite right. The trees here don't grow straight. Many of them twist into spirals or curve into strange shapes. Some grow in loops, others bend sharply at the base before rising upward again. No one has a full explanation for this. Some scientists say it could be caused by soil conditions, strong winds, or even damage during early growth. But no one has confirmed a single reason. In the middle of the forest, there's a circular clearing where no trees grow. Grass covers the ground, and no one knows why nothing ever takes root. Soil tests have shown nothing unusual. Seeds planted there don't survive. And yet, all around the circle, the forest grows thick and green. Over the years, visitors have claimed to see strange lights moving through the trees. Some say they feel watched. Others report headaches, memory loss, nausea, or time passing strangely while inside. Paranormal investigators have visited the forest and left without clear answers. Locals call it the Bermuda Triangle of Romania. The most famous story comes from the 1960s, when a biologist took a photograph in the forest. In it, a disc-shaped object appears in the sky. Some believe it shows a UFO. Despite all this, Hoia Baciu Forest is a public space. People jog here, children play here. There's even a bike park built inside. In daylight, it feels like any other wooded area. But the locals don't advise you to visit the forest at night. Each of these locations feels off in a way that's hard to describe. Which one did you already know before watching the video? Leave a comment below and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe.